Times a charm. Hi, how you doing? Happy Friday. Welcome to the day the internet stood still. Talk about a up and down day with my internet connection. The techs have just left for the third time, and to be fair, they've been so great. They're actually still outside checking cables next door, and they're going to sit in the van to see if this stream takes everything down. While this stream goes on, I don't know if anybody's going to watch it, but I'm going to run some other things because it might actually be that my stream is taking things down. So I'm running a speed test in it. I'm just going to try and persevere, see how it goes. Yes, Zach, I'm back. Thank you so much. I'm only doing this on YouTube, though. I took the Twitch stream off to, again, see if this, see if there's any other issues. So, what was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about Mass Effect. I was going to talk about Starfield, which I think is Starfield, isn't it? The new Bethesda, the Bethesda video game. Yes, Starfield. Going to talk about the Warner Media buyout and breakup, because that's actually going to have a seismic impact on video games, on licensed products. I mean, not just what we're used to playing, but also, other stuff. DC, Warner Brothers, HBO Max, so on and so forth. Carlos is in the house. How you doing, Carlos? Yes, this is an exclusive YouTube one. So far, fingers crossed, we're up. Right. So first thing I'm going to talk about is Mass Effect. Mass Effect Legendary dropped last week, last Friday. I had it preloaded. It was all good, but I really didn't have a chance to play it before I came online to talk to everybody. So since then, I have played a shit ton of Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And the interesting thing about Mass Effect is the first time, that game was my least favorite of the trilogy. And the first time I played it, I admit I didn't complete it. I mean, it's 2007. I probably had a lot of other games going at the same time. It just felt too unwieldy. Combat was just a little bit annoying. And it had a very grindy element, especially if you wanted to use the Mako to explore planets and so on. I mean, it just got really, really grindy. And some of those problems still persist. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The Mako drive way better, which is good because it was absolutely abysmal, those physics. And I've seen people talk about it. I saw somebody who I respect greatly compare it to the Warthog in Halo. And I could see that. And it's not necessarily the control of the Mako. It's the terrain that they've put in Mass Effect 1. That's the problem, because it's so lumpy. And you can go up and you can literally get stuck in a ditch. And that's a problem. I mean, the geometry is not good, and is still not good in Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So much so that, several missions on several planets, I found myself having to quit back to the Normandy. And that's really annoying. I mean, it's not a huge amount of time, but it's still irksome to go back and forth and then have to start back at the original spot and then tootle off somewhere else to try and find a way through. So that still is an issue. But what Mass Effect Legendary does in Mass Effect in particular, it just makes it so the combat is so much better. The sniper rifle has some heft to it this time. When you're putting, putting your points into your various skill trees, they feel like they make a difference, especially when you're looking at the Paragon and the Renegade, or the Aggressive and the Charm, as they were called, but there as well, aspects to really up your chat options, your conversation options, and they really do make a difference. And that's obviously something Mass Effect had in common with Dragon Age, and that's why they both worked so well. So yes, Mass Effect Legendary, I finished it. I wanted to finish it because I wanted to play the entire trilogy with my same Shepard, with bearing the responsibility for all the choices going on. And it took me about 27 hours, with I'd say about 40% of the side quests, maybe 50% of the side quests done. Full team, everybody on board. One person died. Obviously there's one mission where you have to lose somebody and you make the choice on which one it is. And so I got through it, got the great ending, and it was liberating. It was a rush. It was great. And then I took a beat, waited a couple of hours, had a can of fizzy pop because I'm not drinking right now. Antibiotics. Old. Don't get old. I will talk about Andromeda in a second, Carlos, because Carlos just asked this. Yeah, I need some fizzy stuff. It's been a long day, a long, stressy day. So then I jumped into Mass Effect 2. And now Mass Effect 1 was up-resed and gorgeous, although the character models look prettier. But Shepard, like this, a lot. Terrifying. But it's still an improvement. They've up-resed everything, and like I said, it looked a lot better, as you'd expect. You get into Mass Effect 2, and it's just so much prettier. When you get onto Omega, which is like the first space station, once you've gone through the first couple of missions, and you're introduced to the Elusive Man and Martin Sheen. I mean, I've forgotten how great the voice cast was on the Mass Effect trilogy. Keith David, Martin Sheen. I mean, everybody, just fantastic voice cast. But then you get into Omega and it just glows. I mean, obviously I've got all the settings absolutely spammed up for for this game, and it looks so good. It glows. I mean, it's ethereal. The nightclubs. I mean, the music is obviously, bizarrely enough, catchy, considering I'm somebody who doesn't really like electronica much. But yeah, but the interesting thing on Mass Effect 2, because they'd streamlined down the RPG element that felt really unwieldy the first time I played it in 2007, and then the second time I played it in Mass Effect 1, it felt. I grew to love it. I grew to have to really enjoy the level 60 cap and have all these points to put into. All right, well, I'm playing with a sniper rifle and a sidearm, so I'm just putting my points into those. I'm putting my health points in, and then that all gets turned on its head. And it's interesting because what I really loved about Mass Effect 2 all those years ago in 2009, I think it was how they dumbed it down a little, made it more accessible. This time round, and because I haven't played Mass Effect 2 in such a long time, this time round when I went back into Mass Effect 2 on Legendary Edition and worked, and saw that new interface and this, how they had streamlined the RPG elements, it was disappointing. It's actually disappointing because I've been so invested in Mass Effect 1, and it's taken a bit of getting used to because. The character classes have changed a little. I mean, yes, you do have the Renegade and the Paragon aspects, but I miss being able to focus on, specific weapon disciplines and being able to focus more on, putting the points into charm or aggression. I do love the combat upgrades. I mean, obviously, when you go into Mordin Solis's labs, and let's face it, there's no spoiler alert here. Once you've liberated Mordin Solis, you open up the upgrade system because he's running the lab. When you go and you start upgrading to get a collector's machine gun, or you get to add health packs, auto health pack generation to your armor, or you're upgrading the ship with a new med bay. All that stuff is just so cool. Unfortunately, one of the other downsides of Mass Effect 2 is they introduced that multi-faceted currency system where you can have platinum to buy stuff, and then you got three other forms of currency to work with specific upgrades for tech, biotics, for upgrading your ship, etc., which takes us back to one of the things I did. They'd improved between Mass Effect 1 and 2, but this still kind of sucks, is going to the planets and having to scan a planet and then fire a probe to mine these minerals. And it's tough because I didn't like having to drive around on the freaking Mako in Mass Effect 1 to find these particular bits of rubble and everything. And I still don't like having to fucking scan everything. And you do have to scan. You have to scan, or you have to get good at hacking and breaking into to wall safes if you want to get the plat to make sure you're upgraded enough. And it's so far this resource aspect is holding me, it's holding back my enjoyment to a certain degree. The fact that you have to buy fuel and you have to pay for your probes was in Mass Effect 2. I didn't like it then. I still don't like it. I mean, this is not a criticism of the upgraded system, or the remaster, if you will. But it's still a bugbear for me with regards to the Mass Effect series. But despite that, the Mass Effect Legendary, I'm about 1 1/3 of the way through. So I'm about a third of the way through Mass Effect 2. I've still got to say, the Mass Effect trilogy is still one of the greatest achievements in video games, in storytelling, in character, in voice acting, in imagination. I mean, it's just second to none. And this is, and I cannot give anybody any higher compliment, this is peak BioWare. This is BioWare when they were at the top of their game and they were doing stuff. Yes, like I said, there's issues that are down to my personal preference that are kind of irksome, but that's beyond put that to one side, because that's just my own personal grumpy old man issues. I don't like having to be limited by, trying to figure out, am I going to spend money on an upgrade or probes to get more money and more fuel? So if you have never played Mass Effect, get the trilogy. Get the remastered trilogy. If you have a PC that can play it with everything spammed up, do it. I've seen screen grabs of the Xbox version, the next-gen Xbox and the PS5, and they look great. It's like, well done. On my machine, on my big monitor, the game sings. It's an achievement. Well done, the team that redid it, BioWare, I'm guessing. The fact that all the DLC is in there, all the side missions, the extra characters, it is an achievement. And it is, and I know, we're in this stage of, oh, well, everything's a reboot or a remix, or everything's a rehash every year, every other year. Some games, some series are so good, they deserve to be rebooted at least every other generation. And the Mass Effect trilogy, remastered, Legendary Edition, is a must-buy if you like Star Trek, if you like any sci-fi. It is very Star Trek in a lot of its ways. It's the best not a Star Trek game ever to Star Trek, if you think about it. I saw that comparison earlier this week, and I'm stealing it. But yeah, it's great, and I'm sure it runs, like I said, great on the consoles. I cannot recommend it enough. Kudos. Ooh, all right, there you go. Get that one out of the way, and I'm still streaming. This is good. I'm so sorry that the good people on Twitch cannot watch this right now, but I had to try and figure out what's what. So something of an exclusive for the YouTubers. Moving on, let's talk about Warner Media. So this week, AT&T, which is a big, evil, shitty corporation here. And when I say evil, I mean basically they are a bag of dicks. They do nothing but provide people with shitty service, overcharge them, and keep on hiking their prices. They bought Warner Brothers about 6 or 7 years ago. AOL Time Warner, I think it was they bought. And, they've also bought DirecTV. They ran that into the ground. And they've just figured out that, oh, shit, we are a tech company. We are good at gouging customers and providing shitty service there. We have no fucking clue or no business being in the content generation industry. And so this week, Monday, to everyone's huge surprise, including several close friends of mine who, are connected to, this, some of these companies, they announced that they were peeling off Warner Media to partner with Discovery to create a content supergiant. Now, this has been in the works for a couple of months, apparently. Nobody knew about it, not even the head of Warner Media, who only joined last year and is now looking to get, he's got his lawyers on board because he's looking to sue to get out because they brought him on under false pretenses. But what does this affect that really matters to us? Well, in a word, or in a couple, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, WB Games. These are the people we should be worried about because this is the company that is working on games like Back 4 Blood, Gotham City Knights. They brought us Arkham Asylum series, the Suicide Squad that's coming from Rocksteady, the Battle for Middle-earth games, the two Mordor games. And what else do we have? I think there's the Harry Potter game that's been announced. They are the good people, the guys and the girls who are working their asses off to make some great games for us that are part of our favorite franchises. And the fact that they don't know what the fuck's going on is really troubling. We might end up, the things we've heard so far is that half the studios are going to go with one company and half are going to stay with another, which makes no fucking sense because there's a whole bunch of crossovers. For example, the DC IP, DC Comics is now part of Discovery. So literally Aquaman is part of Shark Week. That's going to be amusing. And then, so all that stuff's gone there, but then there's the other side of Warner Brothers that I understand the Harry Potter stuff stays with Warner Brothers, which makes crossovers and games very, very confusing. And this is my point. This is my worry. We're about to lose a shit ton of good content. Games are going to get canceled. People are going to get laid off, all because corporate America has no fucking clue. They think they have a clue on how to make money, and it generally involves pissing off people and fucking them over. You should be worried if you like Batman games. You should be worried if you want to see Back 4 Blood. You should be worried if you want to play a decent Harry Potter game. I know we haven't really had that many other than the Lego Harry Potter or the Mobile Match 3 game. We might see these games go bye-bye. We might see them shipped in a half-assed state. We might see a lot of talent exiting Warner Brothers. We might not get some decent DC movies. What am I talking about? We haven't had a decent DC movie in a long time. Thank you, Zack Snyder. Although I do hold out hope for Suicide Squad, and I do hold out hope for the reboot of Batman. If you haven't seen Paul Dano's Riddler outfit, damn, you should look at it. It's dark. It's great. It looks fantastic. So yeah, I would like to know more. Obviously, a lot of us would like to know more, but we should be worried, and we should perhaps look at supporting these creators who are working, these studios who are working on stuff. Just send them a little message on Twitter. Be nice. Send them a little something and say, we believe in you. We hope this is all good. Start, posting on forums, posting on comment threads. Just let's keep these people in their jobs because they were making some amazing looking games that we were all going to enjoy playing. So fingers crossed we still get them. But it is worrying when you have big corporate people taking over. I mean, the same problem in the 70s, I think, with the movie studio system, where you'd have like Gulf and Western, which was an oil company. They bought, they didn't buy Universal. They bought one of the big studios. Anyway, so yes, I'm concerned. I want to see these games. You want to see these games. We want to see these great games. I'm just saying. But yes, Zach Canning says, ha, 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 but that's the American business way, and that's not necessarily the good way, because let's face it, it's gotten us to this fucked up planet now. All right, so random little rant. I mean, obviously, if we were still on the Twitch channel right now, I'm sure some faceless little smeghead would come in and go, hey, old man, ranting about games. By the way, I looked at had a look for some of his content and what he was going to post these clips. Fuck all surfaced. That's the idiot from last week, by the way. So let's talk about Starfield. A lot of people talking about Starfield today over the past 2 days. Some people are saying that Starfield's going to be announced at E3, or not announced. There's going to be a teaser reveal at E3, and then Pete Hines is going to walk out on stage a la Fallout 76 and say, and you're going to be able to play it on September the 1st. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see Starfield next year. 2 reasons. One, this is a Todd Howard joint. Todd Howard, Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 76. He does not rush it. Starfield was shown, 18 months ago? Or 2 years ago. It was first announced at the last E3, I think, before E3 went, and the whole world went. So, he's not going to rush it. Bethesda are not going to rush it. Microsoft are not going to rush it because Bethesda now owned by Microsoft. This is going to be probably the first big game that we will see from Bethesda as an Xbox and PC exclusive. Sorry, Sony fans, you'll get Deathloop, you may get a couple of other titles, and you may get Starfield sometime in 2023, 24, but you have to get used to the fact that Bethesda is now in the bubble. It's in the social distancing bubble with Microsoft, so you probably won't be getting to play Starfield. So that's my first point. Todd Howard never rushes stuff. Microsoft bought the company and are probably saying, Todd, take your damn time. And he's like, okay. Lovely guy, by the way. I have actually met him a few times. He is a fantastic individual, very driven, very smart. The second thing that really points against the 2021 release is global pandemic. The global pandemic slowed everything down. All development was put on hold while so many companies shifted their people to working from home. And shifting your people to working from home means, not just, by the way, you have to go home, turn on your laptop and do whatever you were doing with your home internet connection. No, it means making sure you have a strong enough encrypted internet connection. You've got the right software. It means your PCs or your Macs or whatever you're using to create art, to engineer, to work on the code, anything and everything, they have to be transported to somebody's house and all the insurance liabilities that go with that. So there's a shit ton of stuff that goes on that we don't know about. So I will just reiterate, we're going to get Deathloop this year. That's probably going to be Bethesda's big release. Starfield, no fucking chance. 2022 at the earliest. What we might also get teased, though, is a new Skyrim game. Elder Scrolls. As long as it's not Elder Scrolls Online 2.0. So, yes, it's interesting when the Twitch stream is gone, comments are really quiet. I am going to go back to Carlos's question about Mass Effect and Andromeda. Yes, I bought it on the PS4 and I started to play it. And I got to say, obviously, I'm one of these people who didn't like it. I'll tell you for why. One, it was clunky as fuck. Something that's reinforced by Mass Effect Legendary. Really, really clunky game, slow, plodding storyline, really unintuitive and unfriendly with regards to its UI. There are numerous bugs and glitches, but nothing that really sucks you in from the get-go. And that was one of the first games, I think. In fact, let me check. Talk amongst yourselves as I type up on here. When did that come out? It's interesting. It's got 71 on it. There you go. 2017, March 21st, 2017. I think this might be one of the other reasons I really didn't like it. I got the game 6 weeks after Heart Go Boom Day, after the double heart attack where I dropped dead. 6 weeks. And it was one of the first games I bought. I bought that and Mad Max at the same time. Pre-ordered them. I was like, Mad Max, I want to give it a go. Love those guys at Avalanche. And Mass Effect. It's Mass Effect, sign me up. And it's interesting, both of those games, incredibly disappointing. Avalanche obviously turned it around with regards to Rage 2, which is way more fun and entertaining as a Mad Max game than Mad Max was. And then just Mass Effect Andromeda, that was the other one, just incredibly disappointed. Incredibly disappointed. And so much so, I played it I probably got about 15, 20 hours in. And then I just said, I can't do it. Enough's enough. It's just too dull and too uninspiring. And like I said, the release of the release of Mass Effect Legendary Edition just reinforces that. I won't be going back to Andromeda. I mean, maybe someday I might if it goes on a Steam sale or something and they've upgraded it. But yeah, I really just have no interest in it. Oh, Gremlin 117 and Super Moxie, welcome to the stream. Thank you for turning up. Sorry that it's so late and disjointed, but you know, internet's gonna internet. But so far, I've been going for 25 minutes and we are still kicking. Let me, in fact, go to the speed test. Da, 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 da. And obviously, just so anybody is wondering, I have been hardwired in now for the last 10 days with regards to my PC. So last week's stream, hardwired in to my Ethernet via Ethernet cable to the little router and everything, and ditto this week. But it was just the entire signal just went kaput. And look at that. So ping of 6, download speed 690.98 Mbps, upload 39.06. So we're still ticking along. This is good. Not as worrying as it was. That's because I literally have a Spectrum Tech outside my window. Yeah. So what else am I going to talk about? I am going to talk about one last thing because it's a truncated show because, it's a little later in the day and it's been a quiet week, in fact. There's not much to really talk about. I mean, I literally have spent so much time focusing on trying to get the internet working. Everything else just passes me by. MODOK should drop today for all you Marvel fans on Hulu. If you are a fan of animated, M-rated Disney fare, and Patton Oswalt as the voice of MODOK is actually really quite pitch perfect. I got to say, starts off strong, got some funny little bits. It's a literally behind the scenes of MODOK, what he does when he's trying to run AIM and be a dad and a husband. And it's a very, very bizarre. It's got a couple of swears in it, a lot of blood, very irreverent. First episode, patchy, hit and miss. Some really funny, one of the first funny lines hits literally, I think, in the first 2 minutes. As MODOK's mom is talking to baby MODOK. So I'm not going to spoil it for you. Give it a go. Have a look. Obviously, we are 2 weeks out from Loki. That's going to be fun. Looking forward to that one. Am I 2 or 3 weeks out? 3 weeks out from Loki. So, yes, MODOK, have a look at that. Very disappointed in the cancellation of Prodigal Son. Thank you, Fox, for yet again taking something that's great and has got potential and then screwing it over in favor of shit like The Masked Singer and every other piece of reality show crap that you put out every fucking year. I was hoping with the Disney acquisition that we'd actually get some quality stuff picked up and actually allowed to develop over a couple of years. And the fact that Prodigal Son, with such great acting team and some great writing, is put to one side really is fucking annoying. But it's Fox, and it doesn't look like we're going to really have any more seasons because HBO have just passed on it for HBO Max, which sucks. But what doesn't suck is another show that Fox canceled. Lucifer is coming back to Netflix in the next week or so. So that's going to be fun. Lucifer's back because let's face it, if you're going to have an awesome devil, he's got to be tall, dark, and Welsh, much like Tom Ellis, who is tall, dark, and Welsh. I mean, look, I'd have made a good devil, but hey, I'm just too fat. All right. I was asked, have I kickstarted any games? Yes, I did. I think I contributed. Not many, to be honest with you, especially, during some of the lean times. I think the Shadowrun game, I was part of the Kickstarter for that. But I've also worked on, kickstarted another couple of things, a couple of books. The Crash ZX Spectrum annual from a couple of years ago. The Insert Coin documentary, I was one of the backers on that, which is a great documentary. If you've got the chance to find it on Vudu or Amazon or whatever, rent it. Josh Sui, who is a great guy, worked at Midway during the NBA Jam Mortal Kombat days, did this documentary, and it's really, really great. So absolutely check out Insert Coin if you enjoy, if you were a child in the 90s who enjoyed playing the Midway stuff, whether it be in the arcade, on the Sega Genesis Mega Drive, or the Super NES, and you really will just really enjoy this this awesome documentary. But yes, I don't really do a lot of Kickstarters. The wife kickstarted our toothbrushes. We've got the quick toothbrushes back in the day. We kickstarted those. Yeah, I haven't really. It's interesting with the games thing. I think, yeah, I think the some of them have just been. They just leave me with a cold taste. A bad taste in my mouth. They leave me cold. We all know about the #1 Kickstarter game, and we won't talk about that particular Elite Dangerous knockoff. So, all right, pause. There you go. Going back to the chat room. So, Super Moxie back Shenmue 3. Okay, Shenmue's not my cup of tea. But look, if you back it and you get a good reward from it, and you get the game that you want, more power to you. Great, I love it. Fantastic. I just hate it when companies take you for a fucking ride. Carlos says, Carlos asks this very good question. I'm going to pull that up so everybody can see. How do you feel about Sony porting games to the PC? Sorry if you brought this up before. I have indeed brought it up before, and I've got to say, great, love it. I think it's a fantastic thing. Sony has been leaving money on the fucking table for years. They should have been doing this years ago, especially with the PS4 games, because we all know PS4, much like PS5, is a PC in a fucking box. So there's no reason not to do this. Oh, we don't have a content delivery system. They say we're not like Microsoft. Well, you do a deal with Steam. You do a deal with the Epic Game Store. You do a deal with EA or somebody, and you start bringing your first-party games. We know that Horizon Zero Dawn came out really good. Days Gone has just hit. I think that wasn't that the one that's just hit. I mean, obviously, I still want Infamous 1 and 2. That's what I want. But there is so many classic PlayStation games. I mean, Killzone could be brought out on PC, singing, dancing, great shooter, great story. There are like I said, so many titles. Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, I'm trying to look at over at my PS4 collection that I'm looking. Obviously, like I said, Infamous 1 and 2. Killzone, God of War, that's another one. Obviously, there should be, considered and put out there. I mean, obviously, there are some games like, that shouldn't see the light of day. Sorry, I was looking at my PS4 collection, which is tucked away, buried next to a bunch of other stuff. Uncharted, Last of Us. I mean, those games on PC, you're leaving money. I know we're talking about, but it takes people away from the PlayStation. Well, guess what? You can't supply people with PlayStations right now. You cannot keep them on the shelves long enough because there is a chipset shortage due to the pandemic. So how about putting these games out on systems that will inspire people to perhaps go and buy and put a little delay out? Make it 6 months. I'm happy to wait 6 months between a PS5 exclusive and a hitting on PC. I mean, Microsoft don't have that problem. They will ship stuff day and fucking date because they know there is money in it. And Sony have enough of a backlog to be able to do it. And this taps in, like I said, to the emulation thing that I've talked about for years and years and years. There are PlayStation games, PS2, PS3, PS4, Vita, PSP. All those games could be officially emulated and put on a version of PlayStation Plus. That's a PC site, app, whatever you want to call it. Get it out, because Microsoft doesn't control the PC. Yes, we have Windows, but it's open. It's as open as you can be. You put that app out there, people will download it. You put that website out there, much like Steam. It's out there, and you can put those games on, and people can relive. And it also helps with the archiving problem. And also helps then, if they don't want to keep certain stores open, they can put them all in one big area. So, yes. Yeah, so there you go. I am seeing lots of questions now. I'm glad everybody's in here. Wobbsy's in the house. Good to see you. Joseph's in the house. That's great. And let's see, Gremlin. There you go. What were some of your pet peeves when dealing with the PR side during your time in the industry? Oh, dear. Me? Pet peeves? No. My biggest problem was actually at a corporate level. I mean, yes, we had some issues with sites or publications who went a little rogue, broke embargoes. That unfortunately happened. My biggest problem was always been that PR and marketing were lumped in together at so many companies when they're totally separate disciplines that support each other. But 90% of the time in the industry, in my experience, you had a PR person reporting in to a marketing person who didn't know what the fuck PR did. PR is not easy to quantify. Yes, you have pages, when there were magazines out there, or airtime when you have, Tech TV and G4. And now you've got, website imprints and stories and stuff like that. But it's easier to track advertising because, oh, yes, Nielsen rating said that this ad is got so many X amount of eyeballs on it or click-throughs or whatever. But PR is much more than just getting the coverage. It's relationship management. When you're spending money in marketing, it's a lot. I'm not saying it's an incredibly easy discipline, far from it, but it's different in that you go to companies like GameSpot, IGN, or whoever to say, I want to do an ad campaign. And they are like, yes, please, we'll take your money. What can we do for you? And you're like, I hold the power. When you're a PR person, it's like, I've got the game. I'm up against every other fucking game. I'm working to get a cover on PC Gamer, Game Informer, etc., etc. So that was my biggest problem, is that they wouldn't understand when somebody didn't want to cover a game or somebody put a bad review out. The amount of times I've worked with marketing people who said, well, if so-and-so is going to give us this bad review, and they may have given me the heads up that the bad review is coming because I have a relationship with them. That is, we talk, we get on well, we go for a drink, and, professional courtesy. Then the marketing person says, well, we'll pull the ads. Doesn't fucking work. That is the stupidest thing ever. I'm going to pull the ads because you gave me a bad review. So pull your review and rewrite it. Not going to happen. Let's face it, not everybody's going to like a game. Game scores are going to vary, especially, based on taste. Obviously, sometimes you get a dickbag reviewer. We try to put them to one side, put them in a cocoon, not send them any games. I call it Kotaku syndrome, because they break embargoes, or they broke embargoes, and they wrote stories based on stolen emails and scurrilous shit. Not Kotaku, I'm just saying sites. That's what they did. There were gossip rags out there, and you try and manage it but you cannot totally 86 bad reviews, especially if you have a shit game. I've worked on my fair share of donkeys. I have worked on games that fucking blue screened of death people's PCs. That's how bad they were. The PC got the CD-ROM and there and said, fuck this shit, I'm off. And boo, flatlined. I kid you not. And then I also worked on games like Hooters Road Trip, for fuck's sake. Hooters Road Trip was a $10 game for the PS1 and for the PC back in 2001. I didn't get any reviews for Hooters Road Trip. I made the press. If they wanted to go and review it, they had to go and buy it because I knew it would get slaughtered. And I knew anybody, but if you're paying $10 for a game with Hooters on it, let's face it, all you're going to get is a shitty racing game with some grainy FMV. And if that's what floats your boat, happy Hanukkah. So yeah, that was my biggest pet peeve. Again, tangents. I did work for for a couple of companies where the marketing people were really great and let me have my free reign, while providing really good support as well, because again, symbiotic, working together. And then I did work for one company where we had a dedicated VP of PR and we reported into her, and she was fantastic. She protected us from marketing interference until she quit to go off and do something else. And then we got absorbed into the marketing department, and it's no coincidence that within a year I left that company because I just couldn't take some of the smeg pots, not all, some of the marketing smeg pots who were just allowed to put input into PR plans and control my fucking budgets. Whew. All right, there you go. You got a bonus rant. All right, let's see. Do I think Joseph follows up with, do I think PR has gotten any better now? I have friends who do PR, and I praise their, without wanting to sound sexist or misogynistic, what I like to call testicular fortitude, in that they have the metaphoricals and they persevere while having to deal with a really entitled set of shitbags. Because now, I mean, one of the great things I never used to deal with were influencers. And please don't even think I consider myself an influencer. Fucking don't. I'm just a middle-aged man on a fucking webcam ranting to you guys about, oh, when I was a lad and this is what we used to do, and then we get drunk and it would be all lovely. Fucking influencers. Influencers are a generation of people. A lot of them work very, very hard. I'm not saying they don't work very, very hard, but there's a lot of them who also have no fucking morals, scruples, or professionalism in them at all. They take money for shit. They don't promote. They don't say they're taking money for shit. Which they should do because it's advertorials. Those things that would displace Saturday morning cartoons would really piss you off. Where it's like, I want to watch X-Men or Hulk or whatever. And, oh, no, it's an advertorial for George Foreman's fucking grill. That's what a lot of influencers are, nothing more than paid chills. And they make a lot of money. And because they can get away with it, because we have no real oversight on the internet, and especially with regards to broadcasting standards, because the FCC is really just a shell thanks to the last administration, they get away with it. And I could not deal with those fuckers. Now there are specialist PR departments who have, there is PR departments with specialist influencer teams. And to those people, I say, I salute you, because I can't fucking stand them. So yes, I think PR is a harder than ever thing to do. It's a vastly maligned part of any industry. Oh, all you do is you shill this and shill that, and then you see these shows where it's like the PR person is always the slimy bastard, but the PR person, more often than not, has to take direction from somebody who has no fucking clue, or is some wanker who's an evil son of a bitch who basically wants to part people from their money and give them some shitty service. And these people are just trying to do their jobs. PR people didn't get out of bed in the morning and say, oh, how can I fuck over a fan base today? I mean, one of the things I worked on when I was at, for example, Vivendi, there was a company, there was a fan version of, I think it was Space Quest, that Vivendi initially sent a cease and desist to because it was a Sierra Online game. And I worked with one of the lawyers at Vivendi to create a non-commercial license for those guys to be able to go off and continue making their fan version of this game. And they did, and they got it out. I mean, I kind of lost track of it over the years. I don't even know if it was any good. But the fact that we allowed somebody, it was an IP that we didn't, we weren't using. It was an IP that, it wasn't going to harm us. They weren't going to sell it. They were doing it for the love of it. And I was proud that I managed to help bring that in to Vivendi, and we managed to get that going. I don't know if it was, like I said, I don't know if it was cancelled. I don't think many other people do it. I mean, we see lots of people issuing cease and desists. Nintendo in particular, heavy on the C&Ds. I would like to see more of that. But that's just a part of something that I did with regards to PR that I think was, a little bit better and outside of it. So I would not go back to PR. I cannot. I mean, I've had some people offer me PR gigs, and I've been like, I appreciate it. I could consult. I can brainstorm. Happy to brainstorm because I still have some good ideas. Relatively good ideas. But I would not go back to PR for simply because the day-to-day would just drive me insane. Plus, being on social media, I did joke that I left PR at the right time, because being on Twitter and being a PR guy, I probably would have got fired 3 times a week, because it would have been, fuck off. You don't like my game? Fuck off, you cow bastard, blah, blah, blah. And, I saved that for just attacks on me personally as opposed to the games I worked on. So, Joseph, you're going to have to watch back when this goes back up onto the YouTube channel when it's archived. You're going to have to watch the Mass Effect segment. That was the first segment. I talked in depth about it, and I'm not going to go back over it again. I am going to I'm going to finish off with, like I said, kind of truncated this week because of everything, but hopefully it's working. You'll be able to see this later on and watch the whole thing. Just going to talk about the footy this weekend. Championship Sunday here with regards to the English Premier League. We already know who the champions are. We already know who the runner-ups are. It's Manchester City, and you got to give kudos to them. They've been on a great run. Runners-up are Manchester United. I can never give them kudos. I hate them. That's just the way I am. But third, fourth, and fifth are so tight right now. Third place is Chelsea. Fourth place, Liverpool. Back in fourth place, the last Champions League place. Fifth place is Leicester. Any two of those three teams will end up in the top four. It's that tight. Chelsea go to Aston Villa this weekend. That's going to be a tough one. Aston Villa are a good team. They beat Liverpool 7-2 at the beginning of the season. And if they sing, they could take points off Chelsea, which means that if Liverpool and Leicester win, Chelsea drop down to fifth and then have to rely on the Champions League final to win that, which would be great, by the way. Manchester City have won the league and the League Cup. If Chelsea win the Champions League, sorry, Man City fans, it'd be fucking hysterical. Pep's another year without it. I mean, will they win? They probably will win. Manchester City are a machine who've gone on a great run, and in Ruben Diaz have a great central defender who's pulled them together, much like Vincent Kompany used to. But it would be funny if Chelsea won by a fluke goal. Leicester have already won the FA Cup, and the dream scenario for me would be that England has 5 Champions League teams in it this year, which would be Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool going up as far as third, which would be great if Chelsea lost, and Liverpool win against Crystal Palace. Leicester have to beat Tottenham at home, and let's face it, Tottenham are a fucking rabble right now. Harry Kane's halfway out the door. So yeah, Chelsea could finish fifth, but if they win the Champions League, they'd still be admitted as the holders. That would be awesome. That would be great to have those 5 teams there. And then there's the secondary one for me this weekend, which is the promotion into Premier League, which is the playoff second legs. They're coming, where Swansea City, my hometown team, are trying to get back in the semi-final. They're in the semi-finals right now. They beat Barnsley 1-0 last week. So hoping they follow that up with another win at home to get to the final, and then hopefully get back to the promised land of the Premier League after 4 years out, I think, because it'd be nice to have my hometown back on the map like that. Yeah. So that's it. One last question from Gremlin. Ever thought of doing some live streams of your games from my past, games I worked on or games I grew up on? Well, I mean, a lot of the games I worked on, shit, I don't even know how I get some of them now. I mean, well, maybe Good Old Games has some of the stuff, maybe the original Fear. Yeah, I mean, the games I grew up on, I mean, the Spectrum games, or we're looking at Sega Genesis. And when I say grow up, I mean, I was, 22, 23 when I got the Genesis. So it was Spectrum games before that, then Genesis and Super NES, and that's what really sort of like dragged me back, kicking and screaming back into games after discovering booze and the opposite sex as a teenager. I thought about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not never say never. I mean, again, getting better at the streaming thing. Let's get the internet working, and then we can build my brand. But yes, I appreciate the suggestion, and I'm not going to say no on it. Okay, thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. We're up to 10 viewers on the YouTubes. Thank you all. Again, apologies for the big disconnects. I got to say, huge thanks to the Spectrum Internet techs who have been fantastic and literally have their own reserved parking spots outside my house. They're still trying to sort out the problem. We still can't figure it out. But I've been online for 49 minutes. I'll take that win. And I am going to step away on my own time without without being cut off or free. I didn't freeze. See, didn't freeze. It would be nice to hear commentary and horror stories from development. There's certain things, obviously, I still can't share. I mean, not NDA, just professional courtesy. But there's certain things I can share. So maybe that will be another topic of conversation for another week. Make sure you follow me on the old. I know it's annoying for people to be on Twitter because it's such a fucking cesspool. But if you follow me on Twitter, you can at me, especially in the days building up. And if you have suggestions for topics or you want to ask questions, get them in advance and I can do a bit of research. Something obviously we used to do with Annoyed Gamer back in the day on game trailers. So yeah, I'm always happy to take your questions and shuttle it towards the show at the end of the week. So absolutely. If you, I'm not even going to show the fucking Twitch address. I'm kind of done with Twitch. Obviously, like and subscribe if you enjoy the YouTube stuff in particular. I think this is where you'll start to see more of my stuff moving forward, simply because it's more manageable. And then obviously the money grubbing part of me would ask that if you do enjoy what I do on a weekly basis, take a look at the Patreon page and take a look at the various layers, and it's $3 for the cheapest layer. And it's just a price of a coffee. Helps keep the lights on and the internet streaming. Well, obviously, maybe I need more than $3 to keep the internet streaming. But you know what I mean. But if not, it is what it is. Hard times for everybody. I will say thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. Apologies for the hiccups and the false starts. And if you are watching later on in the stream, when it's archived on YouTube, enjoy, leave your comments, hit the like, hit subscribe. Have a great weekend. I am going to go finish my Diet Coke and hug my wife and maybe have a nice bit of cake, I think. It's time for cake. Peace. Talk to you next week.